In science, people are very stuck into their own little silos. I hope that it will help them to think outside the box. So my hope is that from this week they will start asking big questions.
What's very clear being here, I've just been talking to a chef upstairs, a biologist, an expert in machine learning, I'm an astronomer, is that interdisciplinary approaches, or rather collaborative, transdisciplinary approaches that bring together people from very different backgrounds are necessary to get to grips with this new technology, to understand what it can do, and to inspire us to do better in our own disciplines and then to build something together. So I'm hoping the students are getting that, if nothing else out of this week, that mission to work together.
I think this summer school gave us this opportunity to think differently, to maybe find some other answers, some hidden questions and answers about philosophy that will be used into science. So I think we always have to be philosophers.
AI today, as Barry quite nicely said before, is very much regarded as a specialist discipline sitting around in a corner in a lab full of computers, but it should in principle be the thing that connects fields together.
If you're a specialist in astronomy and you're just starting to explore artificial intelligence, where should you start? Should you be looking at how artificial intelligence can help you to be more efficient and more productive in answering the questions you're already exploring? Or should you step back and ask some really big questions like, what's the future of astronomy now that we have artificial intelligence? Well, both. That's what we decided when we designed a short summer school for astronomy PhD students. And you join us on day 3. And this is the day when we were at our most creative, when we really pushed the boundaries and asked some very big questions about what artificial intelligence might do for us.
One of the things I've been thinking about is dividing unusual from interesting. They're not the same. If you think about it, you could be unusual and boring. In astronomy, that means that the camera malfunctioned. So what's interesting is that sorting out how unusual something is something machines are very good at. We're developing really good techniques of doing that, but deciding how interesting something is, not only is that a very human thing, it's often a very personal thing. It will change with context. It will change whether you're a professional astronomer or a citizen scientist. It will make a difference who you are when you ask that question. And so I think we need to think not only about unusualness, but also about interestingness.
So the idea with the wheel is that we can have a similar sort of idea. Is we'll have a question in the centre somewhere that we can interrogate a little bit more, and it will land on a topic, and you can't just immediately dismiss the topic. So if we take one of the bigger questions, either why does the universe exist, what does it mean to be alive, can a robot have a sense of curiosity?
On one side, as a student, who I very much relate because I was a student myself no longer than a year ago when I did finish my PhD, and then I'm sitting on the expert panel on the other side with giving some of my expertise from my research.
Right, so I've mentioned to you that you have some experts who are going to help you during the day.
Hello everybody, I'm the surprise one here, I think, because I'm an historian. I want to use cultural humanities approach to work with scientists, and I think we spend too much time separate. We should be working together. And AI, I look as an optimist, I look at AI as a tool to make interdisciplinarity a thing of the future, a thing we're going to work with now and for the future, so that we can ditch stereotypes and increase learning for everybody, both in sense of ability, skills, knowledge, and being human.
This astronomy summer school is good for problem solving. We have the chance to answer the questions that we at first create. So it's a good idea. I think the academics here, they give you the right path to think of and to find the answers to yourself.
we introduced a project. And the project is to design the next AI space telescope. So this is a space telescope that has an artificial intelligence on board, and the job of that artificial intelligence will be to select and stream data back to Earth, because we can't send all of it, there's too much data. So my first task was to find out with the students just how adventurous they wanted to be in their design of that AI. Should it only be asking questions that we can already answer, or should it in some way be introducing some of its own questions?
So you can choose any part of the challenge if you want to focus on a small part of it. You could focus on the communication issue. How are we going to communicate with it? You could focus on trying to think about what is it, have a sense of curiosity. You can also think about the experts who you would like. So I just wanted to conclude this briefing session by saying to you some of the different sorts of problems that you might want to come up with. Essentially, there's a mission start date here, well that's today. Then there's some planning, which is 6 years. And then our space telescope takes off on board some sort of carrier rocket, a bit like we're using at the moment. I haven't been very creative with how it's getting into space, but if you want to catapult it up there or something more dynamic, that's fine. And then this is the sort of the period of which, the 10 years that I said it would be gathering data and sending it back. And that's the end, as it were, of its anticipated lifetime.
Basically food and different flavors. We could consider it like different, let's say, type of objects in the sky. I would say we're still exploring and we have to be curious about it. We have to be curious to taste something or to observe something. That's the process of learning.
I think it's important that we're using AI in astronomy to help us grow our knowledge, and not just because it presents a faster or a cooler way of approaching things. The mission team would need to develop an AI that's interested in obscurity and observing change, as well as looking for patterns. One of the things that I learned about problem solving was how well problems have been solved in the past to remarkable levels of accuracy, and this made me think about how we need to utilise alternative ways of thinking when we send an AI up into space. Another key point to include would be that this AI would have to have a way of processing or responding to surprises. If we're setting up a satellite with an AI on board, it can't just be programmed to observe things that we know a lot about already and report back on this. It has to be able to see things that are very different, that it might not have spotted before, and send this information back, because this is how we perhaps could use AI to make new discoveries and not just following the regular patterns.
When I asked you to come, it was because I wanted to play with ideas like, what is it like to be curious? And I thought, I bet you these students are curious when they look at a new dish.
I am equally thrilled. What I try to inspire or to bring on to the awareness is what is in the curry, which makes it very, very interesting.
You're asking questions that they won't have thought about asking. If we create this artificial intelligence and it's in space and it's trying to make sense of the universe for us, I'm looking to you to help them to think about how when a chef encounters a new flavour that you haven't had before, how you go about making sense of it.
So the first senses, by the looking at it, they are sort of accepting or rejecting a dish. Certain questions they already draw in their mind. Oh, it's going to be hot. How would be should I eat by hand or if I need a spoon? You need to smell it, whether it's edible or not. By all means, the nose is the one which, connected to all your senses, will give its own direction. Go for it. It might be tempting. Is there anything tempting you?
In order to eat that, you need to have access to a spoon, let's say, right?
Okay. Do you know why you want to go for it?
Well, I'm curious.
Well, I think the point is you're training yourself in doing something. Like, that's what an AI does. You have to train the machine as you were training yourself in order to know what can be done and what it can't.
These days, people don't think from the part of the philosophy. They just go deep into science and the technical stuff. But here, with the theory, you can understand science differently. How it should be, I would say.